How are things back home? Is everything okay?
Lockdown, big lockdown here. So only allowed to exercise 6 to 9. So it's becoming, it's very, very tough, for everybody here. But what can you do? You have to just keep marching on. Exercise between 6 and 9, and then the rest of the time is mainly indoors.
So, pretty much that the sporting world aspect has come to a halt because of this COVID-19 lockdown situation. What's your assessment of this situation, sir? What's the way forward?
Well, I mean, I don't think there's much that the sportsmen can do. I mean, they can obviously, they can just keep an eye out. It's for the politicians and for everybody and the scientists and the doctors to sort out. So they can't do anything until they go back. But hopefully, Quinton de Kock lives very close to me. He's about a 5-minute walk away from where I am. And I know he's still doing lots of training. He's doing, he's keeping himself fit. So hopefully when they come out of that, they'll all still be pretty fit and ready to go. I know that most of the players will be very anxious to get back onto the park. So they'll be, they'll really want to try and get something under their belt.
What's the talk going on, sir, amongst the South African cricketers in general?
I mean, I think everybody's like most places. They're all sitting, waiting and hoping. And we're in phase 4 of lockdown here, and hopefully in the area that I'm in, they might go to phase 3, which will give the players more opportunity to do more training. They won't be able to go to a gym just yet, but I think a lot of them are doing Zoom training and and keeping their levels up. They've been sent training schedules, so I'm sure all of them will be part of be sending all the figures back as to exactly what they're doing.
Well, for elite athletes, it really hurts to miss such action especially during their peak playing days. You have gone through the pain yourself, during the apartheid policy when South Africa was suspended. So, what do you think professional cricketers should do so that they are highly motivated mentally and they come out of this mentally strong? How do you think they should deal with this?
I mean, everybody will be very keen to if I understand the question right, that how will they react when they come out? Is that what you were saying?
Yes, how will they react when they come back, and how should they prepare themselves mentally? Because 3-4 months of not playing cricket.
Yeah, very tough, and I mean it'll be hard for them to motivate themselves. But because they have it, sometimes it'll work in reverse. If you haven't played something for a long time and you miss it, and you become very keen. So when they get out on the park, I think sometimes you can get ahead of yourself. You're so keen to do well that you lose your focus on what has worked for you and what you're stepping too fast, if you know what I mean. They might have to just take a breath and say what was working for me before I went into lockdown and what will work now. Sometimes you get too excited and lose focus.
Going back to your playing days, I remember a picture of yours. You're holding your bat in one hand and David Warner's bat in the other hand.
The interesting thing part of that was that the difference in weight is only 2 ounces. It's not a lot. And his was, I think his is about 60 millimeters from the edge is 60 millimeters wide, and mine was about 18 or 19. So it's 3 times as wide, but it doesn't weigh too much. And I think the bats have got a little bit out of control in that, the research and development of bats has been phenomenal, but the ball hasn't changed at all. And some of the fields have got smaller. So I think probably from if spectators want to see 4s and 6s, well, they've gone about it the right way. But for me, the contest has gone out of the game. And, there's the bowlers now 20% of the contest and the batsmen's 80%. Whereas for me, I like to see the bowlers and the batsmen getting an equal chance. And I just don't see it at the moment.
How do you think we can balance it, sir? Is there a way you feel that, okay, if we can do this, then we can balance it?
Wickets. They could make them, just a little bit more for the bowlers. I think the back, they should go back to the back foot no ball rule. That would help. And a little bit less severe on the wides down the leg side. I mean, it sometimes hits the edge of the pads and they still give it as a wide. In my opinion, if you're an international player and they're bowling on your pads and you can't hit it away, then you don't deserve any runs at all. So those are 3 things that I can think of. I mean, maybe the outfields the outfields are so lush now. They're like a golf green. Maybe they let the grass just go a little bit. Then you bring the fielders back in. You bring the throwing back in. Possibility of runouts. So there's a few things they could do, but whether they do it or not, that's just a few ideas that I've had myself.
So talk us about the 325 runs that you scored in a single day, sir. Can you explain that day? Tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, every dog has a day, and that was my day. It was only 5.5 hours, so it was only 330 minutes playing time. So, yeah, it was one of those days where everything went right, and the ball hit the middle of the bat. And I've never been a big score man. If you look at my record, the number of hundreds I think I've got 80 hundreds, but like about 6 200s. So between 100 and I used to entertain myself, because I think the hardest part in cricket is getting from 0 to 50. Not from 50 to 100 is easy. From 100 to 150 is even easier, and from 150 to 200 is the easiest of the lot. You can almost do that with your eyes closed. But that never used to appeal to me. Once the challenge went out of batting, the challenge went out of me. But sometimes when you're 300, I just entertained myself. I just played however I wanted to play, and on a certain day it'll work. Sometimes you'll try that and you'll get out for 113 or 115. But that particular day, it all just went well.
Did you ever think of such a score on a single day, sir? Have you ever dreamt of such a day happening in your life against that quality attack?
I didn't really think about it. I mean, it was a day of cricket. I just went out. I prepared myself the same way as I always do. Have a little net in behind, make sure you're nice and loose before you go out and play. And that's what I did. I didn't set out to score 300. I just went out and I played like I normally do play. And, that was a day where it just went on. It went on and on and on. Whereas most other days I'd get out for 115 or 122 or something like that, because I'd be entertaining myself trying to do something silly. Trying to hit it from offside to leg side, or from, outside the off stump to square leg. I used to do all those, trying to entertain myself. I mean, I was never a big score man. I always saw the challenge in cricket from getting from 0 to 50. I've always thought that's the hardest part of cricket.
So we see a lot of analysis being done these days. There are a lot of players who work with different coaches. There are analysts going around. But back then, during your days, just explain us, how did you guys discuss cricket?
Yeah, well, we used to coach each other. I mean, if you were, Lee Irvin, for example, went to school with me and he played in South Africa. If he saw a particular fault, he would come to me and say, listen, I was standing 22 yards away from you, which is much closer than any coaches of today. And he would say, listen, this is what I think this is a little technical thing that I've seen. And I would do the same to him. And we would basically coach each other. And then most of the time now, I would have my bat in my hand as much as I could, and we used to have our own coaches and do our own stuff. So I used to find that the most satisfying and good enough for me to have a somebody from the same team as me and my same age as me and played the same as me to have input into what I was doing wrong or what I was doing right.
Right. Yes, sir. Of late, there's been a lot of talk regards to legalizing ball tampering. What's your take on that?
I mean, if you're trying to sanitize every germ out of this world, you're never going to do it. Because, I mean, you can sanitize the ball, but then it goes into the crowd. And there's somebody in the back there that hasn't washed their hands. I mean, it's ridiculous. Just shine the ball, get on with it. I mean, the way that they're going now, I just what are they going to say then? You've got to sanitize your pads because there might be something on their pads when you pick, or is it, if it hits the ground, or there's a helmet and it hits the helmet, has that been sanitized? You can never. We've been with germs for forever. And if you try and sanitize the whole world, it's a waste of time.
Why is South Africa not able to win an ICC event? What's your observation?
Why they haven't won a tournament?
ICC event.
Yeah, and I mean, they've had golden opportunities. I think they've probably been up there with us. Are they always in the mix? and they just haven't been able to get over the line. I mean, it's been very disappointing for all the people here. And I mean, we've had a good enough team to do it. It's just at the wrong time, the wrong thing. I mean, I was commentating in Birmingham when they should have beaten Australia and they would have won it then. They've just done the wrong thing at the wrong time, which has cost them the match. And that's been very disappointing. I think people are really keen for them to do well. They had a really good side up until recently, and it might be a little bit more difficult for them now because they haven't got quite the same quality of players as they had 4 or 5 years ago.
If you have to pick one batsman to play for your life, who would it be?
It depends whether you want a batsman to play for your life to win the game, you want a batsman for your life to draw the game, or you either got a batsman for your life that you just want to watch. So there's
all three options.
Yeah, if there's somebody to watch to win the game, it would be Viv. Somebody to draw the game, you'd probably go for somebody like maybe VVS or Jeff Boycott or somebody like that. Somebody to watch. I loved watching Brian Lara bat.
As a commentator, which situation do you like the most? Like when a batsman is in full flow, or when the bowling team is on top? The fielding team is on top.
For me, all I want to see is a good contest. I want to see a wicket that gives the bowler something. I want to see a wicket where the good players will get runs. So often now we see wickets where, average players are getting lots of runs. And I find that, a bit frustrating as a commentator because you want your best players to perform. And that means batting, bowling, and fielding. And if you don't provide the most important person doesn't appear on the cricket ground when cricket hours are on, and that's the groundsman. If the wickets are prepared so that you have a fair contest, then it's always interesting to watch.
If you had to ask MS Dhoni one question, what would that be, sir?
Well, I told you I'd ask him how much his Harley, or whether I can have a ride on his Harley Davidson. Serious question to ask MS Dhoni. I think he's got a lovely attitude to cricket, so probably I'd ask him what is his interest outside of cricket. I would really like to know that.
Which captain of your era comes to your mind when you see Dhoni on the field leading his men?
I mean, the captains of my era are a little bit different. I mean, they had less pressure from the media than they do today. Mike Greeley was always a very impressive captain. He might not have been the best player, but a very impressive captain. He got the best out of the players. So in my era, he would probably be the best captain.
If you have to pick only 2 out of these 4 batsmen to play in your team, who would it be?
Kohli and AB de Villiers.
So you don't want the options at all. Just 2 people, that's it.
2 people out of 4.
So Kohli, Rohit Sharma, AB de Villiers, Warner, and we got the answer, sir. Kohli and AB de Villiers.
Correct.
Wonderful, sir. So if you have to play in the IPL, which team would you like to be part of?
Any of them for the money.
If you have to pick a team, any of them.
No, I really admire Rahul Dravid. I like Rahul very much. So I would probably go for Bangalore because that's where he lives.
Right. So now it's Virat Kohli's dead RCB.
Yeah, okay. I'll settle for that. I'll settle for watching him play. 5
bowlers whom you think from this generation are going to trouble the batsman of your era, irrespective of the conditions.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Mitchell Starc would, and if you play in India, then Ashwin would obviously be very challenging. Then obviously Jimmy Anderson is a swing bowler. If you go to conditions where the swing bowling is, Trent Bolt, he's a pretty handy bowler. I mean, yeah, you be careful because then you've got 2 left-handers. In Starc and Bolt. Trying to think who from. I mean, if you're playing in Cape Town, Philander would definitely be in the mix because of. I mean that it just nibbles around a little bit and he hits the seam often. So you pick for where you're playing. All of those guys are tremendous players. So I mean they would trouble any batsman from any era.
Can you pick 5 batsmen from this era who would have dominated, or probably have had their own days, own share of success against the legendary fast bowling attack of your period?
I mean, I think if you put them back in time on those wickets, then I mean it would never be easy. If I could pick, Malcolm Marshall, Dennis Lilly, Jeff Thompson, Andy Roberts to bowl against anybody in any era, they're going to make them. It's going to be very difficult. But 5 batsmen. I mean, Williamson's a good player. Warner's a good player. Kohli, A.B. de Villiers, good player. That's probably they probably are the best players around at the moment.
Right, sir. Right, sir. It's been wonderful talking to you, sir. Thank you so much for
Thank you
sharing
very
your
much.
thoughts. Thank you so much, sir, and take care, sir.
Yeah, all the very best. Stay safe yourself. Thank you.